So I'm Jane, and I come from a church-going background. I was baptised when I was a year old, and when I was 10 I was confirmed. And then as I got older I wandered away, and after a number of years I found I couldn't really do life without God, without His help. So I came back looking for Him, and I was in a church down in Woodlands, and they had a guest service, and I didn't know what that was. And during that service I just suddenly realized that I did believe in God, I did believe it all, and I said thank you to God, and immediately He was there. And then suddenly the fellow running the service said, if you've come to faith today, you've got to come forward at the end. And I thought, oh no. And so I did that, and that was very public, and that was very, very difficult for me. But I thought, well, that's it, I've done it now. Well, my husband's an irrigation agronomist, and so we've lived in lots of different Muslim countries, and we came back to Bristol about 10 years ago, and I started going to Woodlands. And yeah, it's just been like the river where God takes you a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. And people have talked about baptism, and I thought, I've done that, it's all right, I don't have to do that again. But as I got deeper into this river, then I felt God several times. He'd say, now swim. And I'd say yes, and I'd keep my feet on the bottom. And He'd get me a bit deeper, and He'd say, now swim. And I'd say yes, and then I wouldn't. And about now I feel I'm up to my neck, and God's saying, now swim. And I think, yes. And I think in asking to be baptized, what I'm saying is, yes, I'm taking my feet off the bottom. I'm going to go with it and see where He takes me. So.
My name is Paul. I didn't grow up in a Christian family, but when I went to university I first met with some Christians, and I found that there was something special about them. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I wanted to explore what was special about them and what made them tick. So I went to a few churches to sort of see what it was all about, and I found at one end of the spectrum the church was really boring and I fell asleep, and at the other end of the spectrum I was walking through fire tunnels and had people collapsing on me, and I ended up running out of one church 2 miles back to my halls, and vowed never to return to church again. However, I still saw what the Christians had, and I wanted to live like them, but I didn't understand it, and I didn't know how to connect with church. So I prayed to God in my university bed one night just to come into my life and to give me understanding. And all of a sudden I was invited to a Christianity Explored course where everything seemed to click and make sense. So I struggled to get connected in Plymouth at a church. I came to Bristol, and my friend Deborah told me to come along to Woodlands. I instantly was welcomed by the church, and I loved the worship and the passionate sermons, and then got involved in a small group and started to make friends. And these friends started to challenge me and to help me grow in my faith, which I thought was a really important thing to do, and something which I'd never experienced from a church in the past. I didn't grow up with a father, so I always sought affirmation from the things that I did in terms of friends, and I always made it important to make a first good impression. and I often went out of my way to get that affirmation from people. And I think now that I know Jesus as my Father, that He provides the affirmation, and there's nothing I need to do to prove myself to Him, just that He loves me no matter what I do.